Let's start by discussing what ideation means. As you might have guessed, the term ideation comes from the word idea. Ideation can be defined as the process of generating a broad set of ideas on a given topic with no attempt to judge or evaluate them. The broad set of ideas part is really important. Ideation is all about coming up with lots and lots of ideas, and the no judgment part is important too. We need to be able to explore all ideas without judging them and throwing them out. Some of the most crazy ideas can actually prove to be really valuable. For example, from the early to mid-2000s, mobile phones were getting smaller and smaller. The idea for a drastically larger mobile phone like the iPhone seemed crazy at the time. But history has shown that larger phones ended up meeting users' needs much better than smaller phones. Today, companies that make phones brag about the large size of their screens, which is the complete opposite of the conversation 20 years ago. One of the best things about ideation is the mentality that there are no bad ideas. So if coming up with lots of ideas isn't your strongest skill, don't worry. Part of being a designer means intentionally exploring as many ideas as possible, knowing that some of them, or even most of them, won't work. Plus, the more you practice coming up with lots of ideas, the more natural it will feel. So what does ideation look like in the real world for UX designers? A designer, either individually or in a group, brainstorms out loud. Every idea is documented, often on sticky notes or a whiteboard. The goal is quantity of ideas over quality, so share as many ideas as possible. No evaluation is allowed at this stage. If you're brainstorming in a group, make sure you gather a diverse team for different backgrounds and perspectives. Question the obvious. It can be difficult to question a common belief or practice if everyone has the same opinions. Finally, after you come up with a bunch of ideas, take a break. Then, everyone should come back together to evaluate the ideas. When reviewing the ideas, it's important to have a reason for picking the idea you move forward with. There are a few common ways to evaluate your ideas. First, is the idea feasible? Is it technically possible to build? Next, is the idea desirable? Does it solve the user problem you're focusing on? And lastly, is your idea viable? Is it financially beneficial for the business? If an idea meets these three criteria, it might be a good option to move forward with. All right, so now we know what ideation is, what ideation looks like in the real world, and how to evaluate ideas. Up next, you'll learn why coming up with lots of ideas is so important. Enjoy.